Hello guys, I am back from another video and today we're talking about what if Belle was overpowered as hell. And I'm completely sorry about the background noise because currently my grandmother and my aunt are planning on doing, karaoke, so I'm sorry for the background noise. So yeah, so in the last video we talked about so after he started packing up so he can go to the Loki Familia household, he met up with Bet and the other Loki Familia members. So, they would start going towards, to the Loki Familia household, and when they arrived, well, let's just say Loki was completely drunk and decided to go crazy. So, yeah, after a while of trying to make her stop, trying to cause any trouble, Belle would basically stop her by basically putting her somewhere pretty safe, specifically in her office. So yeah, so Belle would basically fall asleep as when he woke up, it's finally time for dinner, but Belle would decide to go with both, not really both, but more like all three of them, specifically Bet, Finn, and finally Rivia. So they would basically decide to basically go to the hostess of fertility to basically have their dinner. A while of basically just having fun, also maybe even them telling stories, including one story where Beth basically reveals that, Belle sort of has a crush on Rio, which when Rio basically came to serve them their food, well, she heard that and she would basically blow a kiss at him. He would basically start becoming flustered and also started becoming, a bit hot and bothered. So, after a while of basically having a bit of fun, they would basically go back to the, I guess you can say compound or whatever. Yeah, let's just call it the mansion or whatever. So, when he got back to the mansion, apparently some guy, specifically a random Loki Familia member, sort of, upsetted Tione for basically telling her that she was, flat. So yeah, Tione was trying to kill him. So yeah, let's just say that guy is about to get fucked over. But Belle doesn't really care and decides to go back to his room as he would fall asleep. So yeah, so that is basically what happened last episode. And so let's talk about what happens next. So Belle would basically wake up early as he would start the train with his sword and also with his, blade shield. After a while of training, it's now about breakfast time. After he basically came back from, training, he would see that everybody is basically eating breakfast, mostly eating eggs, bread, and other foods. Belle would decide to just grab an apple as he would start to eat it, as one that would say this. Hey, Belle, why are you not going to eat, some bread, or as you would say this? No thanks. As he would start eating the apple once again, as one person would basically notice him. Specifically Bet, as Bet would say this. So you're still training? I mean, you're super overpowered right now and you don't really need to train. As Belle would say this. Well, I prefer to just keep up with my training. What if something happens if I'm, I don't know, a bit weak? As she would say this. I meant he. Sure, I guess. He would basically just keep eating his breakfast, which is mostly consisting of bread and several different types of meats. As after a while of basically eating of Belle mostly eating fruits and maybe some of the meats there, they would basically start getting ready for their first, commission from the, guild. So, Belle would start wearing his, armor, this one, which, well, one of them would basically say, Belle, maybe try and change the, this. He would basically start, starts grabbing the coat that he usually wears under his armor, as he would say this. Sorry, but I just prefer it like that. I mean, it's kind of my style. As one of them would say this. Yeah, sure. Anyway, as they would start to go towards the guild, as everybody is basically just excited to basically have this guy on their, side, because they already know that he's overpowered as hell. Like, seriously, he's able to gain the powers of other monsters just by eating them. And that's impressive enough. So, when they arrived at the guild, everybody, mostly the ones that are basically like, um, wait for a sec. They saw like, after seeing that Mr. Skullface, aka, Bell is basically there, they would basically be afraid, knowing that he's overpowered as hell, including some of the members of, the Apollo Familia, because after their asses were basically handed to them on the, on a silver plate last time, well, they sort of decided to just keep their distance from, the Loki Familia after that. So yeah, so Bell would basically come up to Aina, as Aina would basically give them their quest. Apparently, they need to go under the wait for a second. Apparently, they need to go into the sewers to find out if there's any monsters there. Apparently, they've been hearing some monstrous rumors. A bit of a pun there. So, apparently, they have been hearing about monsters being in the sewers, but they don't really know, so they need adventurers to basically go there. So, Belle and also Finn would basically be told to basically just like, go there and check it out. So, after Belle and also, Bet, not really Bet, I meant, Finn basically were told to, like, basically told of this, they would start getting ready to go into the sewer. Bell would basically, get ready his, like, sewer, I guess you can say, like, water, proof boots, I guess you can say, as he would grab his sword and his shield to get ready to go into the, into the sewer. As Finn would say this, so, Bell? As Bell would say this, what is it? As he would say this, well, I've been wondering, why do you decide to just, like, keep your sword like that in the first place? I mean, why not fix it? As Bell would say this, well, it's because of this. As the sword would basically ignite, turning into this, basically just like having the red energy coming off of it. As you would say this. I guess that's why. As Bell would say this. Yep, one of my favorite weapons. As he would say this. Anyway, we should go in now. As Bell would say this. Yeah, let's go. As you would start going into the, into the large sewers. So, when they arrived into the, sewers, they would basically be met by mostly darkness, as Bell would start using his sword as a torch, because this glowing red light is actually glowing. So, not Bet, I meant Finn, god damn it. For some odd reason, I keep, like, confusing Bet with, with Finn. I don't know how or why do I keep, mixing up their names, but here we are now. So, Finn and, Belle would start to go into the, sewer deeper, as they would just go into there, as they would mostly just see nothing, but just, sewer water and just the smell of probably shit and piss. Shit and piss. So, after a while of basically going through the sewer, they would make it towards a big area filled with pillars, as Belle would say this. I wonder where's the monsters here. As one of them would say this, specifically, Finn. Maybe it's just a stupid rumor. As Belle would say this. Probably right. I mean, as they would start to hear the sounds of roaring. As Belle would say this. What the hell was that? As Belle would basically grab his sword, as he would start to create, one of his eyes. Specifically, one of his eyes would start transforming into, like, an eagle-like eye, as he would start looking into the darkness, allowing him to basically, like, go, like, it basically allows him to basically, like, see through darkness, basically, like, night vision. As he would basically look into the darkness, he would see something running towards them at full speed, as Belle would say this, "Hey Finn, get ready." As Belle would basically grab his sword and shield, getting ready to fight. As I meant Finn, goddammit. As Finn would basically say this. Right. As he would basically bring up his spear. As when they get ready, they would see some sort of large, gigantic cat-like monster appear. This cat-like monster seems to be gigantic, with a large-looking snake as a tail, as it would use the snake-like tail to basically try and bite onto, Belle's armor. Belle having a armor defense, like, the armor's, like, defense is pretty high, well, it didn't really penetrate through it at all. So, Belle would just start slashing at him with, with his, shield blade, as he would grab, his broadsword and basically stab it through the, face of the, cat-like monster. As Finn would basically start, slashing at it using his spear, basically stabbing it through the, stomach. After a while of basically fighting it, Bell would basically say this, "Take this!" As he would basically create a slash, creating several moon-like, blades out of that. Similar to Kokoshibo and his, breathing style, aka moon breathing. As when it starts, barreling towards, the monster, it would slice through it like butter, killing it in an instant. As Bell would basically grab one of its, you know, I guess you can say like a bit of its flesh, he would basically chomp on it. As he would start eating it, as he would grab, a bit of skills from it, including a skill known as poison creation. As Bell would say this, poison creation? Never got that. As after Bell basically, turns off the menu, I guess, he would basically just like, look around and seeing that the dead body of the monster was basically gone. As, Finn would say this, "So, did we kill it?" As Bell would say this, I think we did." As, Finn would say this, "I think we should bring in some backup." As Bell would say this, oh, sorry about that, wait for a second. And probably, report this to the guild. As he would say this, yeah, you're probably right. As after they basically done that, they would basically start leaving. So, after that little, mission of theirs, they would start to leave, as they would basically start going back to the surface, as you would report this to the guild. And the guild was not appreciative of their, horrible musk, because after a while of basically going through the sewer, which was taking about, I don't know, maybe like 6 hours, well, let's just say they're marinated in that disgusting sewer juice. So yeah, after basically like talking to them, they were told to basically get out of the guild to basically, take a freaking shower. So, after Bell basically arrives back at the guild, not the guild, I meant, back at the, Loki familiar household, he would start going towards the showers immediately. So, Bell would basically start showering himself, as he would grab some, soap and also maybe some shampoo to basically, like, clean his hair and also clean his body. So, after doing that, he's all squeaky clean. So, Bell would basically just like be in his room, basically all tired, as he would basically stretch, as he would say this, much better. As he would basically look at, one of his, items that he gotten during the fight. During the fight, he apparently gotten a piece of, the tooth of that monster, as he would say this. I wonder how much does this cost? As Bell would basically start looking at it once again, as you would think, probably a lot. As Bell would basically put it on his, I guess you can say like bag of holding. So, after doing that, he would decide to go around town, maybe like, spending some of his, hard-earned winnings. Specifically, some of the, money that he gotten during the mission. Wait for a second. So, Bell would decide to go around town, basically just like, spending a bit of his Valis. So, yeah, so Bell would basically change into his, normal civilian clothes, which is mostly just like, his, broken, kind of dirty, and kind of a bit smelly, I guess you can say jacket. Yeah, I guess you can say jacket. As he's basically just like wearing like dark pants and a dark, shirt under his, dark jacket. Or I guess you can say dirty jacket at that point because, he worn it for so long that it's kind of a bit stained. So, after Bell changes his clothes, he would decide to go around town as he starts looking at the site. So, he would basically spend a bit of his Valis on just food and maybe a bit of like, souvenirs. So, after a while basically going around and maybe a bit of like having fun, especially of the, wait for a second. So, after a while of basically just like going through town, basically having a bit of fun, and also maybe having, a bit of fun basically meeting up with like, maybe like some people that he basically like, um, how do I say this? One time he literally had a fight with some adventurers, and some of them didn't really know that he was originally Skullface, so when they tried to fight him, well, let's just say they were, beaten down to a bloody pulp. But when he met them after that little incident, well, oh boy, they were scared of him. So, after a while of basically having a bit of fun, just like, going through town, maybe even getting some food, and also going to the, Monster Philia, he would basically be noticed by Rio, which it was her, day off, as Rio would basically just like look at him. As after basically, maybe it's like, maybe like in the afternoon, he would basically grab like a piece of like, how do we say this? Like, I can't remember what it's called, but I think it was like called like, yeah, I think it was like Hestia's like stand. So Belle would basically grab some of those like, snacks, as Belle would be, um how do I say this? Like Belle would basically hear somebody calling his name, as Belle would just look over as he would say this. Wait, Ryu? As she would say this. Oh, hey Belle. What are you doing here? As Belle would say this. Oh, just having a bit of fun, maybe spending some of my Valis, as she would say this. Oh, um, Belle, I wanted to ask you this. As Belle would say this. So, what do you want? As she would say this. Well, can you come here? As Belle would just basically follow her. As Belle would say this. So, what is it? As she would say this. Well, I know about your crush about me. I mean, it was pretty obvious. As Belle, when he heard that, he would say, what? As Belle would start blushing a little bit more, like blushing a lot. As Belle would just basically start blushing even more and more as she would basically explain who basically told him. Told her. As Belle would say this. So, Bet told you then. As she would say this. Oh, don't worry, don't be angry at him. I mean, I kinda do like you as well. As Belle would say this. What? As she would say this. Yeah, I sort of became in love with you ever since, that whole fight. As Belle would say this. What? As, Rio would basically come closer to him. As she would basically look up at, like, she would basically look up at him. She would basically, plant a kiss on his, cheek as she would say this. Anyway, it was nice talking to you, but it's my day off, so I'm just gonna be having a bit more, fun. So, see ya. She would basically say goodbye, as Belle would basically be just like, uh, he would just basically just wave her goodbye as well, as Belle would just basically start leaving, saying, so she knows. Crap, 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 crap. As Belle would basically start, blushing even more, which, well, let's just say everybody was wondering, why is Skullface basically blushing? Because they don't even know who he's, like, crushing on, so they think, oh god, if he's in love with somebody, just imagine the freaking babies. Just imagine their faces or something. So, yeah, after Belle basically arrives back at the Loki familiar household, well, he would notice that the place was pretty trashed. As Belle would say this. What the hell happened here? As one of them would say this, specifically Bet. Oh, it was... as he would say this, specifically Belle. Let me guess, Loki. As he would say this. Exactly. As Belle would say this. Did she get drunk? As he would say this. Yep. As he would say this. What happened here? As he would say this. Well, she sort of got drunk. Wait for a second. Well, she sort of got drunk and then, well, she sort of bringed out the monster and started trashing the place while riding on that monster. As he would say this. So you're telling me that she basically bringed in a monster, riding said monster, and is now terrorizing the entire, place? as he would say this. Exactly, as Belle would say this. Where is the where's the where is she exactly? Which direction? As he would say this. Um outside. As he would say this. For God's sake. He would basically say that as he would start, creating almost like, how do we see this? He would start creating double jointed legs for himself, almost similar to a horse, but it would be, the horse legs would be pure white, the fur, as he would basically start, leaving to basically catch up with, with Loki. Back to Loki. Loki is currently causing chaos by riding on some sort of monster that resembles a hippogriff. And if you don't know what's a hippogriff, well, just imagine a regular old griffin, but the bottom half, or the half of the griffin, is basically just like horse legs. So, Belle would basically start, following her as he would see that she's basically riding on a hippogriff. As Belle would say this. Are you mother? He would basically just like he would basically clench the, bridge of his nose as he would say this. Whoop! As Belle would start creating, bat-like wings resembling like a dragon. As he would basically start, flying off as he would basically try and catch up with, Loki. Loki, still drunk up her ass, she would basically start chugging a bit more of that summer wine as she throws the bottle at his face. Belle would get a full, blast of the, wine bottle as several shards of glass are basically in his face. Belle would just regenerate some of his, bit of his face, but still, it would be pretty painful. So, Belle would basically start chasing her as when Belle basically, catches up with her, Belle would basically punch the hippogriff so hard that the hippogriff's back would be broken. As Belle would basically catch Loki, as Belle would basically create a scorpion-like tail, or a glavenus-like tail to be more specific, because, well, I think like a glavenus is basically like a scorpion, but except without the insectile parts. I mean, it literally has the sharp-like tail. So, Belle would basically, make the glavenus-like tail and basically stab it into the hippogriff, killing it, causing a monster core to basically appear. As Belle would say this. Loki, can you stop drinking? As she would say this. I'm just too tired, Izuku. As Belle would say this. I'm not Izuku, I'm Belle. And who the hell is Izuku? As she would say this. What are you talking about? She would basically just still be drunk as Belle would basically say this. You drunk goddess. As she would basically barf all over his, clothes, as he would say this. Crap! Whoop! Guess I'll be changing my clothes then. As Belle would basically arrive back home, as everybody's looking at him, seeing that he has, vomit all over his, clothes, as he would say this. Loki barfed all over my clothes, now I just need to change them, God. As, Eyes would basically take Loki, as she would say this. So, Belle, as Belle would say this. Yeah, I should change my clothes immediately. So, after Belle puts them in the laundry and also takes a shower from all of the vomit that basically came at him at full speed by Loki, by the way, he would basically change into his, nighttime clothes as he would feel kind of sleepy. As Belle would say this. I feel so tired. Anyway, I should get some sleep. So, Belle would basically start going onto his bed as he would start to remember that whole incident with him and, Rui. He would start to remember the whole incident with him and Ryu as she kind of kissed him on the, cheek. As Belle would start blushing even more, turning into a red tomato. As Belle would say this. Why do I keep thinking of her? God, just get on my freaking head. He would basically just slam the pillow on his face as nearby, as in, back at, Ryu's house, Ryu would basically sneeze as she would say this. Is somebody talking about me? Probably not Izuku. I meant Belle. God damn it. As she would say this. Probably Belle basically thinking about me. Maybe I should plan a date with him. Yeah, maybe. She would basically start to think as, well, she would basically go onto her bed as she would fall asleep. After a while, basically just like, basically putting his face all over the pillow, he would basically decide to get some sleep and stop thinking about her. So yeah, after a few hours had gone by, he would basically fall asleep. So, this is going to be the end of this episode. So, I hope you liked the video, comment, and subscribe, and I hope to see you guys next time. Bye-bye!